and I'm doing that. And do you wish for me to post the agenda? I made you a co-host, but do you have that agenda available to post?
Yes, I do. I can share my screen.
Perfect, because I did make you a co-host to do just that.
Okay. All right, great.
Oh, and hi, Jamie. We have someone we haven't met. So Elizabeth is our chair, and she's going to share the screen.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, I'm just here for public comment.
Okay. Oh, great. Good to hear it. Good to have you. We are waiting for Dan Cagle to join. I texted him a little bit ago and he said he was on his way, or he said he was glad for the engraved text invitation.
Okay.
So let's look down at the agenda. And hi, Lizzie. Oh, Lizzie's
not here. I'm going to bring her in. Yeah, we just need to draw everyone's attention to the item number 1. And I'm Laura, drawing your attention. The item number 1, there's no discussion needed, but it basically, we're going to be continuing to meet virtually, all the neighborhood councils, based on the new state law that so long as the initiative to continue to meet virtually is reactivated on a monthly basis. And the Board of Neighborhood Commissioners will be doing that vote once every month. So we're just cleared to go. Back to you.
And Teresa just joined too. Well, I just admitted her. So let's go for approval of the agenda. I guess it's, hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I'm calling this meeting to order. Thank you, Laura, for volunteering. I'm so glad to see all of you here, and I'm looking forward to everybody introducing themselves. But I'm gonna scroll down here on the agenda. So we're at number 2. We're gonna go to number 3, public comments, and then our item number 4 is reducing plastic waste and skip the stuff ordinance. Then we have the UNNC tree policies, questions and positions that UNNC and its environmental committee may pose to the city's mayoral candidates. That might be an exciting thing to talk about. 7 is any follow-up to previous agenda items, and 8 is adjourn by 9 o'clock. So any changes to the agenda or additions requested? Okay, awesome. We have approval then. And I'll pass it. I'll say who I am. I'll pass it down and the next person can pass it from there. I'm Elizabeth. I am the kicking and screaming current leader of sustainability. I am all about sustainability. I'm also stretched thin, but really excited to be with you all. And I'm a member of this neighborhood for now, I think, 12 years. So I'm getting up there. So I'm going to pass it to Lizzie. Hi, Lizzie. So nice to see you.
Hello, Elizabeth, and good evening, everyone. My name is Lizzie Moromisato. I'm a resident of Jefferson Park. I have lived here for 31 years now, and been a board member of the UNNC for 5 going on to 6. I'm currently the chair of the outreach committee and very, very pleased to be here. And I don't know who else, maybe Teresa.
Thank you, Lizzie. Hi, everybody. I'm Teresa Masonette. I live in the West Adams Avenues, and I'm a board member with UNNC.
And Teresa, you can pass it on.
Yes. Hey, Dan.
Hey, so I'm Dan Cagle. I live in West Adams Heights, Sugar Hill. And I am past chair-ish of this committee, or co-chair.
Past and future.
Oh, well, maybe. I've faced my limitations, and I am no longer being chair, but I'm here. So who's next? Jamie?
I mean, I'm just a participant, but you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Jamie. I'm on the Reseda Neighborhood Council, and I'm the Mobility and Environment Chair of my neighborhood council.
Oh, in Reseda.
Welcome. What brings you here?
To make public comment on an item that I would like you to possibly consider for a future agenda.
Cool.
Nice. Okay.
That is sustainability related.
Wow, great.
Laura, would it be all right if we let her make that comment now?
No,
well, why don't we wait till public comments, Dan?
Okay.
And Jackie, You're up for introductions.
Yep.
Jackie, you're muted. Are you still there?
Hi, I was just talking away. My name is Jackie Nunn. I live in Kenny Heights. I've been in this area for about 50 plus years. I'm the manager of the apartment building at 24th and Cimarron, and I've lived here for like 30 or 40 years. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in the community, so I'm here as a guest.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, warm welcome. Great. Good crew tonight. So let's move right on to number 3, public comments. And Jamie, thanks for being here. I think you're up. Oh, and then Lizzie.
Mine is just a couple of announcements. If I could make them very quickly, please.
It's fine with me.
Would that be okay? It's just, I just want to make an announcement about December Sunday, the 5th. We will be having Ciclavia going through South LA. One of the end hubs touches the UNNC footprint, and we have arranged to have a tent and a table there. The hours are 9 to 3, and we would love to have the environmental committee maybe design a poster board with your current projects, your current campaigns, so that we could hang it or post it set it on the table for passersby to look at. That would be wonderful. Another announcement, and this is the last one. I was in a phone conversation a couple of days ago with Jamie, I believe her name is Jamie, or Marcy Jones, I'm sorry, the senior librarian at the Washington Irving Library for a separate matter. But she mentioned to me that because of the closure during the pandemic, the native plants that you, Elizabeth and Dan and Marius had spearheaded, you guys spearheaded a funding project to plant and set some native plants in the back, right in the back area. Yeah. Unfortunately, they died. Mm-hmm. So we would like maybe to figure out a way to replenish, to replace those plants with new ones. So just wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
Maybe that's something to work on, to think about in the near future. And those are my 2 comments. Announcements. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're going to have you up, Jamie, in just a second. But first, Charlie, welcome to our meeting. Could you introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Am I okay? I just want to make sure you can hear me. Okay. I'm Charlie. I'm on the board and just like to be involved in very, more recently. I mean, I guess I've always been interested in environmental causes, but I think more recently have, especially with my daughter, I don't know, it just has kind of made things click in a different way. And so just much more invested in trying to make sure that I'm living in a way that is, peaceful with the earth.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, it took with my kids. They're on board. Took a long time, but and they're boys. So, well, Jamie, we got you a bigger audience now. So, Dan, can it wait until after Jamie? Okay. All right, Jamie and then Dan.
So I just wanted to talk to you guys about Council File 19-0603, which is the expansion of Fire District 1. And I think it's a really pressing environmental concern because I'm deeply concerned it's just going to sort of sail through the council without being looked at deeply in the way that it has. And you should also know that the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance took a position to oppose it. Basically what it would do is it would expand the Fire District 1 designation to basically everywhere that has a height district in LA. And that includes downtown Reseda, which is why I'm so interested in it. But from looking at the map, it also seems to include parts of West Adams and the Jefferson Park area as well. And what it would do is it would ban type 4 and type 5 construction, which means that any larger frame construction in those areas would have to use concrete and steel. And concrete and steel are much worse for the environment. They're about 16% of the world's CO2 pollution. But the reason that this is being pushed is because there's a building product called mass timber that's expected to come online with the California Building Code in the next year or so. That's actually a carbon sink because it's essentially cross-laminated timber, so it's renewable, and you're sequestering the carbon in the building walls. So, good things in terms of being able to build things more sustainably. But the concrete industry failed to get this done at the state level. So what they've been doing now is they've been going from city to city, pushing these kinds of legislation to try and make it so that mass timber is not an option. So right now it's proposed to go, originally it was going to be based on density. It was going to be anywhere with 5,000 people per square mile or more, which is a heck of a lot of LA. They've reduced it down now to the height districts, but the thing with the height districts is that those tend to be the most transit-oriented communities. And so you would actually be disincentivizing building multifamily housing at transit-oriented areas of the city. So it's actually going to end up pushing multifamily housing more into the wildlife zone. And I just am very concerned that because of the $600,000 in lobbying money from the concrete industry, that if we don't get a bunch of neighborhood councils to oppose it, it will go through. So this has kind of become a pet project of mine where I'm just going around and trying to talk to people from different neighborhood councils to talk about why it's so bad. Because you think like wildfire safety and you think like, oh yeah, that's great. But then you look at the details of it and it starts to kind of fall apart. And I don't know about you guys, but if there's a wildfire in downtown Reseda, there's much bigger problems than, and I don't think in West Adams, if there's a wildfire, likelihood, but it's basically going to end up applying to all of these really like urban communities that have no risk of actual wildfire under the guise of wildfire safety.
Okay, it sounds
So
like
that's kind of my spiel.
Thank you. It will probably be on board. I see that Laura Myers has your hand up. So we're going out of sort of public comment into maybe discussion, but can you just before Laura asks the question, is there a time deadline?
Not that I know of. It's pending before Plum, but every time I see something from the concrete industry get attached to the council file, I get nervous. So that's why I'm just continuing my efforts to
okay, because this might be the kind of thing that we could have as an agenda item in the future if we have the time. But Laura.
The governing board actually did approve doing a resolution in CIS in opposition to this. It came out of the Planning and Zoning Committee, but John and I never managed to reduce the length of it. So obviously we'll bring it back on December 2nd with a proper maximum 2,000 characters and spaces CIS for approval, because we've already approved it in concept to be in opposition to that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we didn't do it from the environmental point of view. We did it from a planning and zoning point of view, but we can just revisit it at planning and zoning just because we have 2 more meetings before the governing board and get the language in place so we can do a final.
Okay. Dan,
Excellent.
Awesome. And Dan, is it about this or is it more moving? Okay, go.
Jamie, thank you. That was an excellent job. And what you're doing right now, going around to the different neighborhood councils, is very effective.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to speak with you offline. If you get a chance, could you drop me an email at dank@kegel.com?
Could you put it in the chat?
I think I've actually been on an email with you before, Dan, via Lisa Hart, so I can definitely shoot you an email.
Yes, please do. You will make Lisa Hart happy. Laura,
Yes.
I really enjoy shortening CISs. If you would like to send me the text of what you have, I could apply my scalpel if you like.
Well, I will tell you, it will drive you nuts because at the moment I'm going to give you 4,775 characters with spaces, and the max is 2,000. I'm just
not
saying.
a problem. I have a CIS philosophy that enables me to cut deeply.
Okay. Well,
right.
Great.
But we also didn't have anything about environmental. It was all about, it was the opposite, came from a different direction. So,
Great.
I mean, it will be something the board would have to vote on a second time just because
sure,
it'll have to be short, the shorter version with a better focus.
Right.
If I could even ask to just filing the opposition with like a statement, we oppose this, and then updating your opposition with the full statement would even be helpful, just to get your opposition on the record. Because the reason I am doing another round of going around neighborhood councils, especially ones in the neighborhoods that I think are affected based on a very not super detailed map that is hard to read, is that our neighborhood council got mail from one of the concrete lobbyists talking about how great it was.
We did too.
Like, oh.
Wow.
Oh, we got a whole package, but it was after we'd already taken that initial action. I mean, about 2 weeks ago. And I've been getting emails.
Wow.
I know we have to move on. I highly support, the CIS, the idea of a CIS. Jamie, if there's other things we can do, write emails, post on Twitter.
Let your city council person know.
Okay. And Jamie, I did just post the council file I think we had. Is that the right one?
That is correct. That is correct. But I really thank you for taking the time to listen to me and my sort of extended public comment. I don't want to like eat up your whole meeting. This to me is one of those city actions that is sort of a microcosm of everything that's wrong with LA. And there's a lot of reasons to oppose it that aren't just environmental, but that's one of the chief reasons that I am so activated about it.
Super. Great. My kids were young in Northridge, so you're speaking from, I feel like my old haunt. I love Reseda and Northridge.
I love Reseda too. It's the best.
Yay. Okay. Any other comments about that issue, or shall we move on to any other public comments? Anyone?
Oh, I have one.
Okay.
I'll try to be brief. As you know, I have the pleasure of being the NCSA's representative on the LADWP next steps towards 100% renewable energy advisory group. This is the one after the LA 100 study. They're trying to figure out what to build in the next couple of years. We're about 5 meetings into a 10 meeting thing. And we're just getting around to agreeing on what scenarios they need to study. And there's been a lot of talk of things like, do we really need this kind of energy or that kind of energy? There's been a lot of interest from stakeholders in things like microgrids. So that is a capsule summary of where they are, and hopefully it will settle down to be more interesting soon.
Thank you. Wow. Great. Glad to hear you're on that. Following. Now I understand why you're not available for all the other meetings that are offered to you. Great. I think now moving on, it's 8:20. Laura, got a hand up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Dan just triggered when he said the LADWP. So LADWP has issued a press release essentially that they're now going to be avid again about the ordinance that dates all the way back to 2009 about the watering restrictions. But more importantly, what was not in the press release but has been also announced is that if we don't save some water, they're going to move to the next phase and only allow watering once or twice a week on the gardens. So just by the way, that's it.
I have one more little thing on that topic. Water rates for people who use a lot of water are going up in January.
Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, yeah. I just activated the pond in my backyard for the wildlife. I activated the pond and the waterfall, and I know I'm using water. All right, moving on to number 4, reducing plastic waste and skip the stuff ordinance. So anyone want to take this and run with it?
This is just a real quick, Charlie, you set yourself a deadline. I've already forgotten what deadline you set for yourself on when you're going to write that article for the web, because I need to tell Raheem.
I think it was 2 weeks from the meeting. So I think it would be for
Soon.
a week from today.
Okay. And I'm starting to look at some handouts, considering whether or not we want, in addition to what Lizzie suggested, whether or not we want to have a little postcard on this specifically, skip the stuff, but I'll do that offline. I mean, I'm not going to create here online, but Elizabeth, if we can unshare the agenda so I can just share the screen with something.
Yes, sorry about that. I mean, sure.
So no, don't apologize. I'm
Right. My son was going off to work, so I want to say bye.
Right. So can you see what I'm showing you guys on the screen?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the thing on the right would be sort of a postcard, only it's not really correct, because first of all, it's old. It's asking to take actions to urge the city of LA to take a bold action and pass an ordinance, but the ordinance is already passed. But somehow getting the same kind of piece to do a postcard, one side in English and one side in Spanish, like this is to hand out at Ciclavia we don't have budget, so I will just figure out how to, if not personally, perhaps the council office might print it for us. I mean, we just don't have budget. Approved budget to print it, but I don't know that we need very much anyway, and maybe make it a flyer instead of a postcard, and that's even easier to get printed for us. So anyway, if that's okay, that's what I have I'll volunteer to do. We don't think we can pass out a whole heck of a lot of things at Ciclavia, because the Ciclavians, the people going and riding their bikes and their skateboards and their, everything else, they're not picking up a lot of stuff. They're skipping the stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
So, but with a nod to that, to the extent that we might even have bags to hand out, they will be paper and not plastic. We've just kind of gone through all that, but we don't know really what we're going to do in terms of handouts. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Share.
Okay.
And then as soon as Charlie can get an article up, once we have the article on the website, then we can also start a social media kind of campaign and a e-blast, because it can refer back to the full article on the website. So, So that's that.
Okay, awesome. I've lost my agenda. I have to find it again. It's somewhere around here. But Lizzie had her hand up.
Yes, very quickly. Laura, the organization you got that postcard from, maybe they just have additional copies.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's out of date. I mean, in other words, I'm hoping they also have a version that's not out of date. Right? Like in other words, the city's already got its ordinance. It takes effect next Monday for large businesses, and in early next year for smaller restaurants and food businesses, like the little coffee houses around, most of it takes effect next year in our area. So.
Okay.
Oh, wait, it's Dan Cagle's article. I'll put it in the chat. Did you already put it in the chat?
I did.
Okay, good. Well, there it was. It's great. Why don't we have a paper like that? I'll just let that sit in the air there. Okay, so great. Are we ready to move on? Any other comments about skip the stuff?
Well, we all had homework, remember? Each one of us, oh, I'm guilty. Each one of us was gonna find one business to say, oh, aren't they great? And we can do a little profile in social media. So, yeah. So I'm gonna send out a reminder email to those who volunteered to identify one single business in our area so we can do that nice thing that Elizabeth suggested.
Okay, I'm writing myself a note. Identify. It's all about, because I pass these businesses all the time.
Mhm.
Good actions, good eggs, good actions.
Exactly.
In local business. Doesn't matter what business it is, right?
Well, I mean, it relates to this though. I mean, so it'd have to be a food-ish business.
Okay. Great.
Question.
That is using recyclables,
Right.
no, what is that? No plastic 6 lids. So, in other words, we have a growing number of coffee houses. Maybe one of them is not using the lids.
Yeah, Fence isn't using them.
See, there you go. So we
yeah,
should do
well-
Fence. Charlie, you've got yours.
I'll do it.
Okay. Fence. All right. Teresa.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Laura, I sent you an email that the city was sending out poster-sized flyers to put inside business windows. You said you were going to try to get some of those so we could hand them out.
On the skip the stuff.
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry. My brain is completely awful. I will do it. I will do it.
Poster-sized, we skip the stuff. The stuff. Great.
I have a question or two.
Go for it.
Let's see. Should the businesses be within the UNNC boundaries?
In or near, they should be businesses that serve UNNC stakeholders. I mean,
And-
so in
and
other
then-
words, if
that's
La
fine.
Bouchon, that other coffee house just a few blocks east of Normandy also happens to be wonderfully recycling, then, you know what I mean? Then yeah, but not
Okay.
something too far away. My
Thank you.
opinion, everybody else may have other opinions.
That's good. And then finally, I think we just need to find something to praise about them, even if it is only following the letter of the law and not as far as we'd like to go, right?
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess. I think I want to go to the Grain Cafe.
Yeah.
All right. Great, there should be. All right, moving on. UNNC trees policy. That's gotten away from me, and I've heard something about Lizzie, your group, and because I think we've talked to or heard from Mike Meador.
Right. That's not exactly what this item is, Elizabeth.
No. Okay, then
It's
take it away, Laura.
it's Teresa to take away.
Oh, sweet.
To just start a discussion, not finish anything.
Okay.
I disagree with you. And who is Mike Meador, Elizabeth?
Oh, Lizzie would be able to know, I think, to say. Lizzie, you want to take that one?
Yes, Teresa, Mike Meador is the CEO of Carl Greenworks.
Oh, I thought we were not working with him.
Yes, I don't think this has to do with Carl Greenworks.
Oh, I see. So a few months ago, before I became secretary, we brought up developing a policy for trees, something that an overall philosophy for the UNNC, planting natives, all of this stuff, and then also something for developers. But I'm kind of busy with my other stuff. So last month I was unable to come to this meeting because the Avenues meeting was moved and was held on the same day, and the Avenues are a priority for me. So I'm here. I have nothing. I have written nothing. I know we talked before about Pasadena having a good tree policy, but I will say that when John Arnold presented the housing element, everybody put in their 2 cents, and then he got back to everybody and said, this is what you talked about. Can you write about it? So everybody, had 1 or 2 things that they wrote about. So that might be something that would work better instead of having one person draft the policy. we come up with different elements we would like in the tree policy, and everybody take something that they feel that they can write about or that they're interested in. I just know that I am unable to write an entire tree policy.
Totally. Great. I love that. I love that. Yeah, setting boundaries is an excellent thing. So if anybody could feel like right this second while they're thinking about it, let's start this by putting in the chat what you feel could be part of the tree policy. And I would say a welcome, a thank you to businesses with trees in front of them. UNNC businesses with trees. I misspelled businesses, I think there. I went to a hairdresser on Jefferson once, and I was very excited to be supporting a local business and a local new hair salon. And 2 months later, I went back, and the beautiful tree in front of her place had been chopped to like a post. It was a literal post. I don't know if they expected it to sprout out again, but it didn't. And she did it. Her father did it because they thought that it would be better for the business. You know, they don't know that when we see that, we cringe, that we're sad, that when we see a tree growing in front of a business, that we like the business, we're happy and we're grateful. And that would be my vote, is just to do that. But this is just one of many. Teresa.
So another option would be to try to educate our residents or our community on the importance of trees. That could be another paragraph. Or
Adding that.
I'm not necessarily saying that's the one I want to do, but I'm just thinking of other things that will be important to have in a tree policy. Would be education, because I have neighbors who don't have trees in their front yard, and we have no above ground wire, telephone, utility wires, but she doesn't want them. And trying to educate her on the importance and all of the benefits of it has been very difficult.
Okay. Laura.
Well, I feel like we could take the section that Teresa wrote in the housing element comment, which was about the importance of LA's shade tree canopy, and include it in a tree policy.
Okay.
Of our own.
Did you put that in the text?
Yes.
I understand that. Yeah, absolutely. I think borrowing somebody else's tree policy is a great idea. Borrowing it and then moving it to what we'd like. Native trees are preferred, it says Dan in the chat, but when we spoke to KYCC, they pointed out that native trees are pickier with space and soil requirements that make them harder to use. We could get their guidance about what native trees do fit. Yep.
So is my hand my hand never went down, did it? Sorry. But
Laura,
Teresa's probably before me.
Okay, go for it, Teresa.
Yes, site conditions are important, but I don't think we should allow KYCC to tell us what we want in our community.
Oh, it's not KYCC. I'm just saying KYCC made us aware of this issue. That's all.
Right.
I'm with you, Teresa. I'm with you. Yeah, I think we should decide on our own.
We have a draft list of the new trees the city forest officer has put forth. CFAC is reviewing that list. Of course, they want more native trees on there, but we should say this is how we want our community to look. And we need to have accommodations made to accommodate these trees. We need to say, you need to make the wells larger. We need to have whatever the site conditions need to be to accommodate native trees. We need to insist that that's what we want to have in our community. We can just say, well, there are the well size is 2 by 2, so we're going to have to go with a fern pine. Well, fern pines are nice, but how much shade do they provide? What kind of biodiversity do they offer?
Great point.
So I just don't want somebody else, in my opinion, I don't want us to be limited by what somebody else thinks is the best thing for us.
Awesome. Great. Is there anything we could do in between meetings that could help this? So this, Teresa, how would you feel about starting a Google Doc, and that all of people in this committee could share and add to it?
I would feel burdened by that, to be quite honest with you, Elizabeth. How about you start it and I'll try to put something in it if I can.
I can open it up.
And
Sure.
when you ask me to start, what are you asking me to do?
That just means opening up Google and starting a Google Doc and then sharing it with the people in the committee and anybody who'd like it. Maybe offering it to people at UNNC, the board members overall, to say we're having a comment document that everybody can go to and put in comments that you feel important or about trees in our community.
And then I would share that. I mean, so I would create a document and then share it. Is that how that works? Okay, fine. Okay.
Okay, great. Okay. And if you come up into any snags, give me a call. Because I'm happy to. I've done lots and lots of them. And
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be difficult here, but if you've done lots of them, why can't you do it?
well, because two things, because you offered, and because then you'll have ownership, and I think that'll be a nice thing. Also, if you don't have experience with it, then jumping into the water is great. It might get a little frustrating, but then you'll have it under your belt. If you don't want to, just say that. You just said you would, and then that's fine. I'll do it.
No, at first I told you that I couldn't, that I didn't want to do it because I have a lot of things. And then you said, oh, but it's very easy to do. Okay, I don't want to go in back and forth. I'm just going to say this, that my work regarding trees is going to be limited in this committee. I'm going to, you know what I mean? I will try to be there to help you guys out, but that is very limited.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thanks for everything you do. Laura, you had
Okay, so in terms of creating a policy, I mean, we'd also had a bit of a discussion at the Planning and Zoning Committee. I think that's where this started from, because there's multiple arenas in which a United Neighborhoods United Tree policy might play a role. One would be if LADOT comes to us and say, we're doing yet another street and we want to plant trees along with bike lanes and this and that and the other. And we would be able to say, yeah, great. These are the kind of trees we like, and these are the ones we wish you not to consider. Please don't put in any more bottle brush trees on Ardmore, for example. So having a policy that says which kind of trees would be a really good thing. Having a policy, I just posted one that's possible. We were looking, Teresa and I both were looking at the environmental documents for Crenshaw Crossing. And it turns out that they were approved to remove an awful lot of trees, And these were big trees. Some of them, I don't know quite the difference between a mature tree, a significant tree, and I know what a protected tree is, but taking it as a whole, it's a lot of trees. And I know that the NCSA.
Yeah, one quick question. Lizzie, we're sorry to be losing you. Have a good night. Did you want to say anything before you left?
No, just thank you for allowing me to make those couple of announcements. And no, again, thank you. Thank you for your commitment to this committee.
Thank you, Lizzie.
Thank you. All right. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
So Elizabeth, I know that the Sustainability Alliance was attempting to get through on the EIR process on the sidewalk repair EIR, which didn't happen, but they were trying to get through a 4 trees to 1 removal in that EIR. And I know that it ended up staying at 2 trees, plant 2 for each one that is removed when the sidewalks are being repaired. But I would love us, UNNC, to have that sort of policy about development anyway, how many trees should be replaced if they have to remove trees. Because it does seem like with all this development, we are losing our canopy. It keeps coming back to the canopy. And so that would be one thing. And the kind of trees the city might plant in the parks. I mean, in other words, there's so many places. So what John had done for the housing element, he really did do sort of a bigger discussion, and then people had raised their hands, oh, I'll do this and I'll do that. But it also had an immediate deadline. So I feel like that lighting the fire under the butts of everybody was really a good thing. This doesn't necessarily have an immediate deadline, right? I mean, it's just, I mean, developing a whole policy that touches different aspects of UNNC, because the one about the tree in front of the businesses might be better further developed out of the Economic Development Committee if we could only find a chair, and then somehow come back and create a document. I don't know the best way to do it and who should take, yeah. But
so I'm actually writing down that actionability should be as soon as possible. So actually there is a little bit of urgency here so that we can enact some things, you know, because development is happening really quickly.
Right.
Is that what I hear you say?
Right.
And trees can be shared between and among different committees.
Correct.
Okay, great. Committees. I'll get that. All right. It's fall. It's time to plant trees. So
Yeah. Wait, may I ask Teresa, do you know when the final document is going to be released on the tree, the project that the urban forestry is doing with saying what trees we can have?
It's a city forest officer who created the list, and I think it's still being reviewed. I know it's still with CFAC right now. They haven't approved it. They would like more native trees on the list, so it hasn't been, it's not being supported by CFAC right now.
Got it.
I don't understand what they are saying. I sort of half don't believe what they say about planting live oaks in city, the 2x2 or 3x3 wells, because when I was living in the valley in Northridge, a volunteer oak came up in a tiny little square of dirt in between concrete, lots of concrete. And when we left Northridge, it was 20 feet. There was no ill health to that oak at all. So I'm with you, Teresa, on establishing our own ideals and working it out. If it proves not to be the best practices, we will learn in practice. But let us do that. All right. I'd like to move to number 6, and unless there are any other questions or comments. Charlie, Jackie, call-in user. Who's call-in user number 1? Anybody? Hi. Okay, Charlie, did you have anything?
No, I'll think on it. I mean, I think I agree just with everything everybody's offered so far, but definitely we'll think and add to, get in touch with, I don't know who's doing this spreadsheet now, but I can always find that out and get in touch with them to add some ideas.
Okay, awesome. All right, number 6 came about because we were marveling that we will have sort of an exciting mayoral race coming up. And as a sustainability committee, what are some of the questions that or priorities that we would ask our mayor to have regarding sustainability?
So what was your idea list if this was?
This is my idea. Because campaigns are very interesting because you just hear issues discussed in a way that hardly ever are outside of campaign mode. My next door feed is very much against the new bike paths that are on Washington and Venice. So that's interesting. Not Washington, on West Adams.
Right.
But I've been delighted by them. Dan, you got it. Can't hear you. You were off and then you're muted again.
Thank you. I did see those bike lanes coming home from LAX last week or the week before, and I noticed 2 things. One, I was delighted to see a cyclist using them, but I also saw a fair bit of traffic and 4 people driving in the bike lane out of frustration.
Yeah.
So it may It may be more than the community can bear, sadly. So there may be some actual issues there, despite how much I like the idea.
Right.
Anybody else? Anything? I like it because I can get to Culver City really quickly and easily. It's nice. Laura.
Well, this is perhaps just digressed away from mayoral candidate questions, but back to bike lanes. I was just going to comment that on Venice Boulevard, just west of 6, where we have the halfway down the block, we have the school click. And we UNNC had to ask, beg that among the many LADOT requests we had made is to not allow parking on the curb during school pickup times, drop off and pick up. But of course they've allowed the parking, and then there's the bike lane is outside the parking lane, and it's now the school pickup line of cars.
I saw that one day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the line of cars goes around the block.
Yeah, but it's in the bike lane. So in terms of, I don't know, I think a neighborhood council can develop a list of questions, back to the actual agenda item, to uniformly ask candidates. I mean, we can't do much more than that, but I think we're able to develop a list of questions to uniformly ask candidates about their policies and positions. And I don't think it's a good idea to do something wide open. Hey, do you like sustainability? That's not going to work, because who's going to say no?
Right.
But did you have any specific questions in mind? I mean, in other words,
well, I always want to know if the mayor has a position on a carbon tax.
Right.
I always want to know that.
Right. And I guess I'd want to know, does the mayoral candidate have a position on a plant 4 trees to replace one?
Exactly.
If that becomes our position, with what's their position on that? Because that does, a lot of the things we ask for also create a barrier to the development of housing. Everything we want somebody to do, whether it is replace all naturally occurring, not just RSO housing. I mean, in other words, give us more affordable housing, or give us more trees, or give us more open space. All of those things are, from the other point of view, barriers to the construction of housing. So, but I wonder if we couldn't develop some very specific questions, maybe think about it, and then come back next month, because I think the mayoral campaigns really heat up early next year, really early, like January.
Awesome. Dan, you're muted. You're muted.
I will never learn. I like the idea of coming up with a short list of questions. I think a quality of a good question is to take the solution to a problem that we want and take a step back and say, okay, what is the problem? And then ask them about their specific solutions to that problem that they are interested in, something like that, to give them a little more space to reply without, telegraphing the solution we want. That will expose how naturally aligned they are without leading as much. Does that make sense?
I think so. Do you have an example?
Yeah, so instead of saying, how do you feel about a carbon tax? You'd say, what concrete policies do you think we can use to make progress on climate change? That kind of thing.
Okay. I find an immediate, I think, question for all of us who have been involved in the setback, not me, but people who have been involved in the oil drilling setback thing, and the setback that just happened. What could happen with that land? What do mayoral candidates envision could be done with some instantly free land, right? Isn't it free, unencumbered land? If that's the case, I mean, let's see. Does that mean, okay, no, I'm mixing things up.
Yeah, I was to say, what unencumbered land?
But it's
Yeah.
not, what the policy then does actually, right, is that makes that drilling rig obsolete, and they have to close it because they cannot create the buffer, so they have to close it. Isn't that, is that right?
I'm not clear. There seems to be, I think what they're talking about passing now is for new oil drilling, it can't be within X. And
We have new oil drilling?
For new, this is statewide though, right? For a new
There's
drill
a local
site.
one too.
Yeah, but I don't know that they're taught. I don't know. I mean, when I say I don't know, I mean, I literally don't know where anyone is in the discussion about existing drills, existing permitted drill sites. But I also know that longer view, isn't the state working on eliminating it completely? So then the question becomes, for the next generation, can we start envisioning now what you just said, what happens to that land? But I think that core answer is going to pretty much always be, sadly, or yay, depending on your view, that it almost always is going to be looked to as a place for housing.
Oh.
Because they're large acres of land that
Sure.
are undeveloped in urban areas.
Sure.
So
I believe also the Inglewood oil field, there are plans. The knives have been out for a long time. People have known that this is coming, and they've got plans for any of those big parcels, probably.
right. Well, and to be more specific, right here in our footprint, Elizabeth, you and I could just walk to it at 3rd and Washington, or between 3rd and 4th and Washington. That was a drill site, and it will be housing. So, but it needs cleanup.
Okay, and I think that's a legitimate question too, is that here in South LA, we have a lack of green space.
Right.
So yeah, we need housing, but we've also endured a lot of new housing. So is the housing spread out in Los Angeles? The new housing, the new 6-story, 8-story new buildings. But I have a question for people. So I'm really spread thin, and I have a little bit of a bombshell to give y'all in just a second. But one thing would be, what would our opportunities for offering these questions be? Where would we be able to? And would anybody, Charlie, Jackie, possibly be able to look into when the opportunities to ask such questions would be, and where? And so we have a thing. Dan, you had your hand up first, but then Teresa.
We can always send a letter, right? And then publish the responses. And, we, beyond sending the letter, we'd follow up and try and contact them so that they know we're real. But that's an opportunity.
Oh, great. Okay. Teresa.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I was under the impression that we were going to invite the candidates to come to a UNNC governing board meeting. Mike Fuhrer is already he's going to go to 139 different neighborhoods. And I was just thinking, when he comes to our part of town, that he could come and speak at our governing board meeting. I just assumed that that's how that was going to play out. I don't know why they wouldn't want to come to one of our meetings.
With I don't know how many neighborhood councils there are in LA, but that's a heavy lift. But
well, he said 100. He's going to 139 different neighborhoods. There are 99 neighborhood councils. So I mean, I don't know, but I think that we should offer an invitation for them to come, and we should have our questions ready. I guess the public may want to ask questions too, but if we maybe invite them, then we can talk to them at that point, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how, I don't know how many candidates there are, and I'm not positive of the time frame. I do know that might be better done as a, but I don't know, Council District 10, like we did with the CD10 candidates. We did a CD10 neighborhood councils forum for all the candidates, as opposed to them visiting each one. But that's a different, I think Teresa's right. We should hurry up and do the questions, because however they get placed in the candidate's brain for an answer, the questions are what need to be developed.
Yeah, we know that homelessness will be the top issue.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, to have sustainability, to be quality of life regarding sustainability would be good.
And maybe even SB9. Oh, sorry, I didn't raise my hand, but SB9 or SB10. I know we're in an HPOZ area, but that may affect, developers coming in, tearing down houses, putting up multiple family units. And also when they tear down these houses, they take down the trees. So we lose some of our shade canopy. Are they going to continue the progress that Garcetti, he wanted to plant 90,000 trees? Are they going to continue with that objective?
Other cities have done it. Other cities have made trees a priority. Sacramento made trees a priority, 50 years ago, and now they have an absolutely beautiful tree canopy. They're absolutely gorgeous. So it's been done. We could do it. Just have to put it behind us. All right, we're right up on 9, and I'm very excited that we didn't. Let's see, did we have a follow up to previous agenda items? Did we? Anything come to mind for anybody?
Yeah.
Any burning issue?
Yeah. Dan, I know there have been some on the Washington Boulevard tree planting maintenance project. Some trees that we had already identified seemingly have been planted, not by KYCC, obviously, and then a couple of others have disappeared. Is our spreadsheet updated with any of that, or can we? And then Teresa brought up last night at the West Adams Avenues meeting where there were a couple of representatives from the council district, the removal of the tree cages, and it did seem to end up being that they would find out how to remove all of them, not just necessarily the ones in our way. But you and Teresa had worked out, I think, or Teresa had, or you had, and sent to me a list of cages, but are they the same? Is that the same list at this point, since we've had some fluctuation in trees that are alive and trees that are dead?
I have not updated anything.
Okay.
If you know of updates that are needed and you can send me a list, I could update the list.
Yeah, I think I had already, but maybe I hadn't, because on Western, some of the trees we were talking about, there seem to be new trees now. Some of the tree spots have been planted.
So resend, and I'll try and do the update this weekend.
Okay. And obviously if the result of the questioning last night results in all of the cages being removed, that's just even better. Because they're, separate project, but there's so many trees that are kind of just growing into the cages that can't be maintained. Teresa has her hand up.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry, I know you're trying to end soon, Elizabeth. I just wanted to ask you, Dan, Laura just mentioned that there are some trees that are planted, but if they weren't planted by KYCC, do you know who planted them? And do you know if they're on a 3-year maintenance schedule, a watering schedule?
They seem to have tree bags, Teresa. They're on Western. They have, so it looks to me, it's like the LADOT, like they had done on Venice Boulevard.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, we can wrap up. My thing is that a family crisis occurred in my family in Wichita, a tragedy and a crisis. And my new niece is a brand spanking new mother and a brand spanking new widow.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so I end it with a brand new mortgage. So I'm gonna go there. I am planning on driving there with a car, my Prius full in January. And I don't know how long I'll be needed, but I'm estimating 6 months. Could be 6 months, could be a little bit less, could be a little bit longer. So therefore, I'm doing a whole lot of deferred maintenance on my house. So my kids don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. And I have to, I'll call in, I can call in, they'll have Wi-Fi, but it'll be weird not to be here.
Right. So we need to get you a really strong co-chair.
Yeah.
And then you need to be able to stay up. What's time zone is it?
It'll be 11 o'clock there now. It's 2
right
hours.
now.
Yeah.
We can move the meeting.
Okay, okay.
Well, yeah, but Charlie can't come till 8, so we're just gonna have to work this out. We'll work it out. Everything can be
We'll figure
worked
it
out.
Okay, yes.
It's all workable.
But so it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll be back. I love my house. I love the beach. I just,
you love your kids.
I love my kids. Yeah. So, all right. Okay, I'll see you guys next month.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
All right,
Yes,
good
thank
night.
you.
Thank you. You can save the chat if you want to. I'm going to save the chat too.
Right. And
Good night,
Elizabeth, can you
Teresa.
stay
Thank you.
on a little bit, please?
Sure,
Okay.
everybody. All right,
Bye.
nice to meet you, Charlie. Nice to, yeah. Right. Becky and Dan. Everything going well, Dan?
Oh, it's all right. I'm doing okay at work, and mostly just